Hi, I'm Enda Murray, the director of the Irish Film Festival. I'm delighted to be joined tonight by Tomás O'Sullivan, the director and screenwriter of Arracht, Donal O'Haley, one of the stars, and Dara O'Douane. Tá fáilte roiig an Austral, the bhí sé an scanán seo go hálainn. First of all, I suppose, Tomás, tell us how the film came together.
It was something that was, it started out with the character of the main character, Coleman. It started out basically with a man who had isolated himself from his community and both physically and mentally. He put himself on an island off the west coast of Ireland in a time, and believe it or not, the famine at the very beginning wasn't the. I normally begin my stories in terms of the creation or the formation of them with a person who has a history of trauma, certainly this one, and I put people in a weird physical situation. That's what I did with this one. That's where it began. And then because it was set in the west of Ireland, a place where I've got a very close affinity to, and I have done my whole life really. It kind of grew from there, because the ghosts of the famine, they walk the coastline of Connemara. For me, for a dub who goes down there and has been for years, I've always found the place very evocative. There's something about it, you know, the kind of particularly when you see the ridges in the fields that haven't been dug since the 1840s, you know, and also that you're in such a place. You're in such a place where you can very easily forget about modernity, and as a storyteller, exist in a place, a kind of what if kind of place, and that's where it began. And the famine kind of came into it after that. That was the beginning. Cindy Caher then. This is T.G. Caher and the film board began this incredible scheme where they supported Irish language filmmakers from the beginning with a guarantee of a budget at the end. And that was just remarkable because basically when I applied for it and I got it, it meant that for the first time in my life, I was actually creating and writing something that I knew was going to be on a screen in a couple of years' time. And that's how it grew, and then everybody else came in. So that's the origin of the idea.
Very good. Donal, could I ask you about getting involved in the project?
Sure thing, yeah. I guess Tom reached out early on in the project, really, and so I was sent a draft, and I had worked with Tom and Kate in the past. We did a short film together called Shinta, and you know, he's a good storyteller. Tom is a really good storyteller, and I was, you know, keen to work with him again, to tell the truth. And I guess reading the draft that was sent to me, a couple of things were very apparent. The first was, you know, it's rare, I think, as an actor that you read something, and in my head I was saying, God, if I was born 170 years ago or whatever, this would have been my story, because we shot so close to kind of where I grew up here, and so it was so very close to the bone, the story, and you know, it's a part of our history here in Ireland that has only begun to be kind of explored on screen. And so, you know, personally, as an Irish actor, I was very interested to be a part of that kind of visual conversation, and just to work with Tom and Kate again. At the time, I didn't know who else was cast in it. It was amazing to work with Dara and Peter and Michael and Owen, and you know, we just got a really fantastic team together, and young Kitty, Sasha Nichlin as well, you know, so that's how I came to it. And yeah, I guess just working with Tom and Kate were the big things at the time that drew me to it.
Great. Dara, what was it that attracted you to the script?
The offer.
Yes, it's a very honest answer.
It's a funny question because, obviously, like, I'm not saying it tokenistically. I did love the script and stuff like that, but I'm not in a position in my career where it's something where I'd be drawn towards the script and kind of having to go, oh, I think I'll do this one next.
Yeah, gotcha.
But I knew Tom from for years on and off at different levels. We had mutual friends, and then we hung out every now and then and did a radio play together. And so I was absolutely delighted that going back to actually, like, at my level, you audition for stuff, and I didn't audition for this. This was an offer, you know what I mean? So that is a thrill in itself that somebody like, Tom's just given the background there. His first feature film, huge opportunity, an awful lot of work done in the drafts way before you hear about it at all. And then the director comes and just entrusts you with a big part in it. That's really thrilling because it's a real show of faith that you can just come in and do the job. So that's how I got involved. But I was really really happy.
There seems to be quite a thriving community. I've been to Galway the last couple of years, and I saw Finky, and so there seems to be quite a good community working in the Irish language around Galway.
Yeah, and it's getting a chance. It's getting a chance to get showcased now. I'm sure the talent is there, but like the funding is there now for films to get made. It's great.
I wanted to work with Dara for a long time. I was an actor myself years ago, and I was always very impressed by him. Donal I worked with on a short film a couple of years before, but Dara had been working in kind of doing projects and stuff, and I was always kind of taken aback at how world-class Dara is as an actor, and also Donal. And I think we're very fortunate. I think I don't think actors of this caliber come along that often, and I'm just blessed that I've got two of them who are from this area and who speak Irish. I think it's a miracle of consequence, really, or of coincidence, because these kind of guys don't come along that often, actors like this, and I know that because, coming from Ireland, and I was an actor myself. When I started to act, there was actors like Cillian Murphy and people like that were up and coming, and you kind of think that these people come along all the time, but they actually don't. It's kind of that kind of talent is rare, I think, and it only comes along ever so often. But what you have here is two guys who are world class as actors, and if they lived in LA or America, they would be stars. There's no doubt about it. You'd see them in big movies, and I mean that. I know that. So I'm just lucky to have them in it.
Great. Tell me, what part does the Irish language play in the in terms of the wanting to make the film?
Well, I grew up in Dublin, and I was sent to an Irish school when I was a kid, Irish language speaking school. It was a kind of a new project that had started up in Dublin. So when I was 6 years of age, I lived in a place called Tala in Dublin, and I was taken out of the school I was in by my mother, and she put me into this Irish language school, which was just beginning. It was two teachers from Connemara had set it up from the West. And that was the beginning for me. That was the beginning of my relationship with my language, and it basically has enriched me my entire life. Incredibly fortunate. So a lot of my work has been through Irish because of this. It's also afforded me massive opportunities that I wouldn't have got as like, for instance, I got to make my first short film through Irish. Now, if I had been if that script had gone in with all the other English language scripts, I don't know if it would have been made. And I was lucky enough to have it made, and it turned out to be good. And I think I got opportunities along the way because of the Irish language. So, I mean, there is that. I'm not going to lie about that. But, you know, but also there's a huge cultural significance to the language when it certainly comes to the famine, because what happened during the famine was not only you know, were our population decimated, but our culture was decimated. You know, our sport, how we, you know, our art, our sport, our religion, our culture. You know, we kind of forgot who we were, and we were shattered and sent to the four corners of you know, of the earth, and there was only a few stragglers left here hanging on. The language itself is hanging on and hangs on even now. So the language is an integral part of the storytelling. And also what I found, it's a weird one. I don't know if your viewers would get this, but as an Irish language speaker, when I was casting this, because I'm fluent Irish speaker myself, and I've worked as an actor through Irish as well, what really struck me about this was how important the authenticity became to me, because to be able to have all the characters are from the area, the small area where it takes place, in and around, and the sound of how they speak is, I think, it adds an incredible authenticity to the film, almost to the point where, for me, when I'm watching it, I'm not looking at a film in Irish or an Irish language film. And I get this every time, because there's a point in the film where it switches to English and they all start to speak English. And it's only at that point that I realize, every time I watch it, that this isn't an English film. Because for me, because these guys are the real deal, it just seems like a natural fit. It just seems like the language they should be speaking and are speaking. So the language, yeah, is a massive personality in the film, but I don't think it gets in the way. I think.
Yeah, I must say, the last couple of years coming back to Ireland, that it's been really great to see the language being used. So you know, I think it's thanks to people like Bob Quinn, and you know, coming back in '73 and setting up Cine Gael and you know, believing in the language. I was going to ask Dara. Last time I was in Galway, I actually met you with a friend of mine, Tomás de Valdria, and Tomás said to say hello, but he was wondering, with his vast knowledge of Connemara, he wanted to know where it was shot, and the particular places that you shot.
In Lettermullen, which is pretty much as far back as you can go from Galway on the coast road out to the islands that are connected by bridges in South Connemara. Lettermullen is beautiful. There's a song, actually, John Bilk song, isn't there? Lettermullen is a beautiful island. But it's got all the old, you know, there's a lot of it that's quite untouched there, you know what I mean? And I think Tom might be better to speak about that in terms of like the location being perfect for the story. But Lettermullen is a special place with all these little inlets and coves and stuff like that. And,
yes, I've been there with Tomás.
They were able to do some wide shots without any kind of telephone poles or modern houses in the way, which is kind of not easy to do.
Yes, I've been there with Tomás de Valdria. He was the moon tour there for several years. Hey, I was going to ask about you know, what's it like being an actor in City of Culture 2020? How has Galway coped with the COVID in the the 2020 City of Culture?
I'm a little bit on the outside of all of that kind of stuff, to be honest with you. I wasn't involved in any 2020 projects, or I'm a little bit on the outside of everything anyway. But yeah, I guess it was the right kick in the teeth for them. I'm not the right guy to ask about this kind of stuff, to be honest with you. I don't know what the implications are for it. I'm not really sure what Galway 2020 culture is or what it does for culture, to be honest with you. So I don't know what we're missing.
What about for like a working actor? How has COVID affected you this year?
I was lucky because the job was up and running at Channel 5 series called The Drowning, and it was halfway through, and it got interrupted, which is not very lucky. But at the same time, we were able to bookend it, and when the restrictions were eased, we were able to finish it off. So I had a job on both sides of the lockdown, and also I did a show with a company called Phoebe, and they created a drive-in show, which was able to be socially distanced. So I got pretty lucky. A lot of people can say to me sometimes, they'll just go, "Oh, it must be tough now because of the COVID," and I'm so tempted to tell them that it's because of the COVID that I'm not working, as opposed to just the usual unemployed actor.
What's next for you, Dara?
I have an audition to do today, which is the first in a couple of weeks. So I'll waste my day doing that. And forget about it. Other than that, I'm just waiting for phone calls. You know what I mean? So in the meantime, I'm just planting flowers and weeding.
Good luck with the audition. Donal.
Yeah, same as Dara, really, auditioning. We did a film last year that should be coming out kind of the end of this year, next year, kind of on the festival circuit, hopefully. It's another Cine Car film called Fosca Shelter, and other than that, yeah, auditioning away and knocking on the door.
Okay, and Tomas, have you got anything in the pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been writing basically since the COVID started. We were really lucky, to be honest with you. I mean, a lot of people would say we were unfortunate, but we actually weren't. Arracht got to launch in February. Well, in November last year. This time last year, we were over in Tallinn, Dara. Remember? And
yep.
In Estonia, that was the world premiere. We had a lovely time over there. So we got to launch our film at a festival where people were actually at it, and there was crowds watching, and we got to see it on the big screen, and that was wonderful. Donal couldn't be with us because he was shooting Fosca actually at the time. But me and Dara made it over there, and we had a great time. But then there was we garnered some really positive reviews off that from Screen Daily, and then we had our Irish premiere in Dublin. It was really positively reviewed here, and I think that's kind of kicked a few doors down for me, writing wise, because obviously, you know, I have 10 different projects that I have kind of in the ether. So what I did was I grabbed two of those and I started to write those. So I've got two exciting projects that are kind of, I would say, halfway there at the moment. One is kind of a little bit further behind than the other one. One is about the formation of the Celtic football team in the 1870s in Scotland. It was formed by a priest, a brother Walfrid. So I'm writing that at the moment. It's kind of a revolutionary tale and quite a continuity from Arracht, actually. But this one will be in English. There will be some Irish in it, but this one will be in English generally. So it's about the brother, the priest who set it up, and the sectarian battles he fights. So that's a great project. And then I'm writing another one set in the 80s, in 1986 in Dublin. It's a dark comedy about an ex-con whose mother starts to suffer from set in the inner city Dublin. And I think I've just found my priest. Dara, he's a monk. It's a monk.
Sorry.
Yeah, so two exciting projects, and I have to say I've been lucky. The Screen Ireland have supported the writing. So that's kept me and the family fed since April, and probably will get us to Christmas. So I've been very fortunate that way. So that's what's coming. So you'll be seeing those maybe in 2022.
Fantastic. Look, we've always, since we started, we've always had an Irish language film, and I've actually had complaints from people that it hasn't been pushed enough, and it actually surprised me a little bit. It's fantastic that people in Australia are looking out for the Irish language and are enthusiastic about seeing the film. So this year we're going all over Australia because we're online, and so yeah, in the many corners of this vast continent, there'll be people sitting down watching your work. So, Cócáirdeachas agus go raibh míle maith agaibh and tóga bugaí. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time.